just evolving so quickly. You want to see at least like past the 8-minute mark if you're trying to defend against Gyarados, but we saw 8:30 almost every single time a Gyarados on board. So we'll see if that ends up getting dealt with or picked again by Nemesis or whatnot. But LG, they have so many different little tricks in their pockets, and they're going with pretty similar bans with the Blissey gone this time around, which is something you really wanted to see when they were in Winners Finals.
Yeah, geez, I really wanted to see that ban away. We've not seen Uguay play too many other supports outside of this pick in particular. A little bit of Eldegoss, but that Blissey has been a mainstay for the Nemesis strategy for a long time. Luminosity Gaming kicking off this draft with an interesting pick of the Zacian, mostly because that is a Garchomp ban towards Machisel, and then a selection of the Zacian to take yet another pick away, all the while Leafeon still available, an iconic pick for Trainer.
That's a very scary thing to leave on board. We've seen a few teams, when they do leave it on board, it is a big nightmare. The problem is Trainer plays so many Pokemon so well. I mean, we just saw some Talonflame play that was absolutely blowing everybody away. It's impossible to guess, is this going to be a real pick? Are we actually... Okay, no. I was a little bit excited to see how that was going to go, but unfortunately that's not the case. We are going to see a pretty similar draft from Nemesis from what they were going for in the Winners Finals set, which is going to be just slightly different because they've got the Eldegoss, which is something that they did have to shift to one time, and they obviously won.
Okay, interesting. We haven't talked too much about Slashcan's Mamoswine pick in this draft in particular, but it's a true sort of dive-oriented Pokemon. That is, of course, if Miraidon goes with the Electro Drift style of play, Ice Fang becomes a really phenomenal move. But look at this. Luminosity Gaming building up an extremely tanky composition. They don't have a traditional healing support, so instead trying to make up for that with high defensive stats and high HP pools.
This could be a little bit scary with how much poke damage you could get from that Miraidon, which does not look like it's going to be Electro Drift. I'm not 100% sure.
I agree. I think we're looking at Beam for sure.
Yeah, which makes sense because, yeah, the beam is going to do basically permanent damage. It's very, very scary to go a comp that's not going to be all-out aggressive, but also doesn't have a full committed healer because you're going to slow lose the Pokemon. Even though you do have Mew to be able to challenge it back, some of these Pokemon will be able to tank it a little bit better. That could be a big, scary part of just slowly getting poked down. I mean, Slowbro can do a little bit of poke. The Eldegoss can do a little bit of poke. You've just got to be careful when you're engaging and maybe make some big full commitments. But still, we've seen LG make that strategy work before a lot.
It's true. And ooh, some interesting item options. I've already talked about what I think about the Energy Amplifier X attack build of the Sairledge, but Uguay also rocking the Rescue Hood on the Eldegoss, an item that we see on almost no Pokemon. Comfey sort of the only exception to that rule, but Eldegoss does have some variety, and it most likely means that we are looking at a Cotton Guard Eldegoss instead of a Cotton Spore Eldegoss. So Uguay going with a bit of the healer-oriented build of this Pokemon instead of kind of the counter dive build. Not a bad option when you're looking at a lot of all-rounders instead of maybe some more speedster threats that Luminosity has brought out before.
They are going to have a considerably slower team than what we've seen a lot out of LG. LG, of course, they have the ability to really flex around to a lot of different ranges and paces, but this is kind of a middle ground one for them. So once again, I'm curious how it's going to work out, but here we are, Grand Finals, Luminosity Gaming on the left, Nemesis on the right. This will be a best of 3, but Luminosity Gaming is in the losers brackets. They will have to win one full set and then another full set if they want to take home the championship.
Against a team that is, of course, already bested them in this bracket in the Winners Finals, but Luminosity Gaming is clearly bringing a lot more tools to the job this time around. Nemesis playing some old favorites, maybe the Sairledge, the one new look out of this roster. Luminosity Gaming making some very interesting adaptations. One thing we didn't talk about too much in that draft screen, Wonder Chef, is this Glaceon. I don't think we're looking at Icicle Shard Glaceon, specifically not when Trainer is playing it, an Icy Wind Enjoyer. So we're probably looking at a more secure focus, a bit more long-range build of this Glaceon. And there it is.
Well, yeah, exactly as you were saying. That will help them a lot. Like we were saying, they lacked a little bit of sustain, so being able to help with pokes so that they can at least challenge in that long-range game is going to help them in the long run. And one thing that, again, we were talking about before is how much we have to look at this Magikarp, how LG chooses to deal with the Magikarp. They got a lot of KOs on them up in this top path in the last sets, but right now, they're looking like they're putting on the pressure. There are a few low Pokemon Pokemon trying to push, but it looks like Nemesis just a little bit too low to try and continue that fight.
Yeah, they don't really have the backup there. The Magikarp does fill up a lot of its effort gauge, not really with getting any KOs or assists, but rather wild Pokemon getting knocked out in favor of their team is going to slowly climb up that gauge. So maybe we're not looking as quick of a Gyarados as we saw in the winners finals, but still we do have Metallic on pace to get to that level 5 evolution.
Slash, by the way, trying to steal everything from this other team. Does not manage to steal either. Is gate kept at that pre-evolution stage and gets KO'd. It's going to be really nice for Nemesis. They didn't have to waste all that much time in giving that. If there was the evolution, it would have been a little bit more. They're going to have to back up, probably not challenge this 8-minute spawn, but overall, they do have the chance to maybe get some picks if they can find somebody circling around the outside, and they already got so much XP from the center area, they're probably feeling pretty decent.
Yeah, Metallic with a really big score there on the bottom half as well. They 20 points kind of uncontested. Nobody on defense duty around that bottom goal zone. Instead, Curios hovering around that middle spawn of the birds, seeing if they can pick up a wild Pokemon. No such luck there. Metallic able to sneak in a decent amount of points earlier on in this game. Luminosity Gaming still holding on to that points lead though, as we see Overlord waiting on the wings. I feel like the first time we've seen them on Zacian in this tournament, a Pokemon that's been really hit or miss.
Right now, everybody's just jumping on that hit or miss Pokemon. Overlord going down very quickly. Slash following in suit. And now, I think they should have enough to break this. No, they're actually just a little bit short. And one more person up there could have broken it, but that's still a ton of points in, as in the meantime, LG is going to be trading out for that bottom tier 1. So they're within 1 point of each other as these Reggies are spawning. Bottom Reggie can be completely uncontested in LG's favor. Regieleki going uncontested in Nemesis's favor. So this is about as close as a true trade as you can get, as they do also as well take that top tier 1.
Yeah, a big gamble for Nemesis to give up this basement Reggie into a composition that does have a lot of scaling Pokemon, that Metagross in particular. You saw Nemesis trying to hedge their bets a little bit, trusting that the Gyarados and Miraidon were able to take down that objective, and instead the Eldegoss and the Ceruledge roam into the enemy's central area to try to steal some experience. But in the end, it is Curios being able to walk away with that final evolution. Metagross is now available at level 9.
We've seen Metagross really get a lot of love lately, but right now it is trying to find find off 3 members, and it's doing a great job with the Unite, able to kind of split up the team of Nemesis as they're going to take out 2 altogether, forcing the rest of the team to retreat. This is going to be really hard to get a KO on that Metagross. I feel like we didn't maybe talk about that enough, as we're going to see 26 going in from Metallic, but its defenses are going to be so hard for all their attack damage carries to deal with.
Yeah, Metagross as a Pokemon is so interesting in this metagame. We see it very, very rarely. Quite a rare pick, and I personally love the Pokemon, but statistically in the Championship Series, it has been a pretty tough Pokemon to find wins with. I think in the ACL, looking at under 40% win rate, a very challenging Pokemon. However, in the right draft, it can look great. We do have Luminosity Gaming looking for a bit of an offense. Relics is kind of on a roaming mission to try to buy as much time and maybe get some space. Parabolic Charge for some HP recovery, but 3-on-1 is not great odds, and they will eventually fall. Metallic able to get a KO there. That is really big, but they gotta win this 1v1 versus Overlord. Synchro Sword's gonna do a lot of damage, but Metallic walking away with 2 KOs. Gyarados scaling back up, trying to catch up to LG.
Beautiful 1v2, and Gyarados just seems to be a little bit of a kryptonite for LG. Obviously, it's not as far ahead as it has been in the previous games with them. It's still 1 level behind, but, well, no, actually now up to even level. But it's still looking like just a Pokemon that LG has dealt with a little bit worse than a lot of the rest, considering how strong of a team they are, how well they're ready for pretty much every Pokemon that could be on the field. The Gyarados has caught a little bit off guard, and we're actually going to be switching the priority of the Reggies from the first set of Reggies. By the way, exactly tied score, 172-172.
Yeah, I think Luminosity Gaming kind of taking a peek. They see vision on a few targets, and they think, well, maybe we could try to push for both objectives. But seeing all 5 members, we actually see the rotation in the middle, so Curios can get a bit more experience. Compute and Crash is utilized for Curios to get that long dash that chases down an enemy no matter where they go. They only bring up those rock walls, that kind of Coliseum as we see it, when there's 3 or more targets caught by the computing portion of Compute and Crash. So it's a big long dash, and now they're going to try to see if they can take yet another fight, but it's Relics on this Miraidon that's dealing the damage the other direction.
Yeah, you can just see the tankiness of Kyrgios on the Metagross, though. Just unable to go down. Just walked away slowly from 3 members of Nemesis. And we were talking about earlier, I'm surprised that we're going to see the Electro Drift in general. I mean, it's going to be a good amount of damage, but it is going to put you a lot closer to what is a very scary close-up team. So it's going to be a lot harder to stay in that fight as long as maybe you want to. Plus, they don't get the opportunity to kind of win the game with just the poke strategy.
Yeah.
However, they're doing pretty good. This is looking like a very even game so far, as we're immediately going to see Relics go down. Slash is going to slam Oogway into the back line, and LG looking pretty good. However, it looks like Machisel is going to be ready to try to take the fight. Maybe successfully, Bitterblade coming out to at least just let him survive.
Yeah, a Unite move used just to retreat. Energy Amplifier makes it so that it's not too punishing, but still, it's not great in terms of momentum. Right now, it feels like Metallic really the only one putting up some damage numbers, but right behind them is Relics on this Miraidon. They're trying to chase down, but Kyrgios basically treats that as a sneeze in their general direction, walks off that damage, no problem. Nemesis take the point lead, if barely, with a scoring push there on the bottom side in response to that big offensive attack from Luminosity.
Oh my goodness, just a melted Slowbro, just not having a good day. I don't think anybody's dealt any significant damage to Kyrgios so far at this point in the game. This is going to be something they're going to have to deal with in some way. And honestly, I mean, I don't want to say that they kind of have to rip, but it doesn't look great for Nemesis in these fights so far. They haven't been able to group up. They do have some really great big unites that they can pop. A combination between the Gyarados unite and the Bitterblade coming from the Ceruledge is a great combination that can take out an entire team. They've got the slow beam, which is always going to be infinitely valuable, but I mean, to really pull that all together is going to have to be really clutch.
Yeah, okay, Asable does find the Metagross with the Surf. They're going to be forced into a slow beam pretty soon here if they don't get any HP. They do grab the Zosh, and Ceruledge lines up the Unite move with the help of that attack, and it will be Overlord getting knocked out, but it's a trade 1-2 to Luminosity's favor. Glaceon picking up yet another KO. We have Trainer in the backline, so safe and protected by the rest of the team. We do have the Magnet Rise, allowing Kyrgios to chase down this Gyarados. Metallic following along with the Mew, but does not have enough damage to take out not even 2 of those targets. Mammoth 1 covering Ceruledge on the top side, and Nemesis going to be looking for yet another angle to approach this Rayquaza.
Kyrgios is literally so strong that they're just seeing him and running away. I think at this point, well, actually, hold on. I mean, at this point, Nemesis is up by 2 points, which is obviously basically nothing, but that is the most important 2 points you could possibly have. And Luminosity not really focusing, looking like they're going to focus on Rayquaza, not putting any pressure onto it.
Yeah, but with this Mew scoring attempt, they will likely try to take the lead, but Machisel in a very defensive position is hanging out there. Otter is going to recall mid-Mew Unite move. They'll be safe. No one can contend and stop that reset. Rayquaza does get poked a little bit, but Luminosity Gaming's composition is not incredible at Rip, but they are taking out target after target, making it a little bit easier. Right now, Nemesis is the one focusing on this Rayquaza, and they're going to try to secure, and they will take it! No one from Luminosity Gaming is even close to the Rayquaza at the time, and that's going to allow Metallic to take down Ray.
There are a lot of points in the pocket from Luminosity Gaming, though. That's going to be a Hundo Burger rated Metallic. Certainly going to land another one. 29 seconds left, but LG just trying to find their way over to the other side. And I don't think they're going to be able to make it there in time as we see some respawns. That is a big KO, though, onto the Miraidon. Otter going down, though. That's going to be another set of points. Metallic still holding on to a lot of that shield, still scoring in that main goal zone. A bunch of points. Looks like Machisel going to use the Bitterblade just to get even more. And with that amount of time, Nemesis manages to clutch it out.
Wow, yeah, I think with Chisel using the Unite move for more momentum and movement-based abilities rather than damage in this game with those 2 examples we saw on stream. But wow, Nemesis, I mean, I am not going to lie, when they started doing a lot of damage to Rayquaza, it felt like they were giving the best gift possible for Luminosity Gaming. Happy holidays. But with nobody from Luminosity Gaming within the pit to really contend, they were all too busy trying to shut down the targets of Nemesis outside of the Rayquaza pit. The Nemesis were just left free to be able to take that final hit on Rayquaza. Kyrgios really the only one there to contend, who did have a phenomenal game on this Metagross. 89,000 damage and 9 KOs, but not enough to take down this Nemesis squad.
I think it was a perfect pick. However, it does seem that a few games now that we've seen, specifically Luminosity up against Nemesis, Luminosity has, in, I would say, an uncharacteristic way, hesitated to make a decision during the final 2 minutes. And one time we saw that they walked away and it just got burned down, got ripped and flipped against them. Another time this time, they just didn't really have one way or the other that they were going, which is, again, very uncharacteristic of them. They're usually a squad that knows 100% what they want to do all the time, but they just didn't seem like they had that level of, I don't know, preconceived strategy this time around. We've seen Nemesis take advantage of that perfectly.
Yeah, it was such an insanely close game to lead up to that point, though. So some of these replays, I think we could see why it was so contentious throughout that match. Yeah, maybe Asdabal goes down, but buying space for force members, Metallic always making these KO trades seem in favor of Nemesis, despite how good some of these Luminosity gaming damage players are. We know what Curios, Overlord, and of course Trainer are capable of, but still, Nemesis always keeping this close.
The Sarah Ledge altogether was really interesting. Like you said, the Unites used, there wasn't any huge Unites, which is really what you want to see. Right there, we got to see one of them that did a little bit more damage, but it didn't land on as many Pokemon maybe that were really high targets as you wanted to see, but overall it did have a lot of impact regardless. And this was the end where, like you said, there just wasn't enough members, or weren't enough members of Luminosity Gaming around to be able to kind of steal that away. There was an attempt, though. That was actually pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, Overlord was channeling the Zacian Unite, that Sovereign Sword, right in the face of Rayquaza, one of the best secure tools available, but somehow Relics is able to do enough damage with the Electro Drift to take them out. So a quick start to our series, and we're going to get even quicker into game number 2, as we are already into draft phase. Nemesis going to be on the orange side yet again. Luminosity Gaming choosing first pick 2 games in a row.
Nemesis also now on tournament points, so this is huge for them. Not even maybe potentially getting that bracket reset, which we had on every single region in the last event that we had. Not all of them have happened this time around, but there's still been a good amount. The bans look like they're going to be relatively normal, except for the Slowbro bans, probably one of the first times that we've seen that today.
Interesting. I mean, Asdabal has been playing a whole lot of that Pokemon. I think Snorlax is still available and one of Asdabal's best pocket picks, and their Crustle has also been showcasing a lot of talent, even on the world stage. So I don't think they're too upset, but you can see Luminosity Gaming starting to shift gears. Their draft strategy less all-in focused on Machisel and a little bit more widespread.
I'm surprised that we actually didn't see them pick up that Snorlax really quickly. I feel like we may see it stolen away from them, and you can already actually see it being highlighted. Not sure if that's exactly the path they want to go. They could go prioritize something a little bit more their speed, but nope, that is going to be the Snorlax stolen away. Okay. So now we'll have to see what gets picked up on the other side. Supports Mew, most likely for Otter. And now they're going to have the potential for Double Beam. I don't know if I've seen too much Electro Drift come out of anybody on LG, but you never know. We're seeing a lot of Electro Drift recently.
Yeah, maybe with the poke damage that Mew can provide to support Mew, maybe Electro Drift feels a little bit cleaner in some of these mid-game fights, but I guess we'll have to see. Nemesis highlighting a couple of options here. We've been talking a lot about where Asdabal might go, and I think we said every suggestion other than the Mamoswine. So Asdabal really going deep in the tank, gonna bring up the Mamoswine. It is a pretty good deterrent to the Electro Drift Miraidon. We saw Slash really shutting down a lot of plays of Relics in those early kind of Ray fights with the Ice Fang.
Ooh, are we going to see a Pikachu here? I mean, it's not like it's an uncommon pick, but I feel like Pikachu is almost undervalued because it is ridiculously strong all the time, and it doesn't get picked up as much as I kind of expected that it would.
Yeah.
However, there are a lot of really good special attacker options, so I do get that, but it brings its own special brand of being annoying, and a lot of auto hit potentially with the Volt Tackle is going to be really strong against a lot of the targets on the side of Luminosity Gaming.
Yeah, it looks really incredible. I am curious where Relics decides to go with moveset, because into Dodrio and Mimikyu and Miraidon, which with those items moving around on Curioso's pick, I think we're probably going to be looking at the Charge Beam style of build, but either way, the Pikachu having a little bit of crowd control availability with the Volt Tackle does look pretty solid into a couple of the damage threats, but also Nemesis playing this kind of pseudo dive composition with Metallic on Gyarados would likely really benefit from some poke damage of the Thunder build. So I think there's going to be some tough choices for Relics to make on this Pikachu in the bottom path this game.
At the very least, I think both of them seem good. It's not like
Right,
it's a
that's
bad
true.
decision either way. It's like which one do you prefer? So I do think that the Pikachu pick was a great choice, and of course, its Unite is going to help in either direction. So I really like draft from Nemesis. They've only got to win one more game. I think LG though as well drafted really well, and I do think that the last game was so close that it was impossible to say that one team kind of outplayed the other in a significant enough fashion that it's like they're going to have to really deal with this. The Gyarados, they still need to deal with it. They haven't done so far. I like that it's been 100% pick, but here we go. Tournament point for Nemesis on the orange side. They need to win one more game. Luminosity has to win 2 straight, then another set. We'll see if they make it a short day.
Yeah, long road for Luminosity Gaming, where Nemesis are already sitting on the finish line, potentially. Slash Cannon can try to contend with this early farm, as Relics right now is just doing their best job to be the best electric-type Pokemon in the game. A tough task when Miraidon is on the battlefield.
Oh, can't beat Zeraora. Come on.
True.
Don't be, yeah.
Regieleki.
Especially Sweet Kiss. Oh, ooh, Regieleki. It's formerly Zapdos. But speaking of electric, well, not Pokemon, but electric attacks, we see the Electro Ball coming out doing a ton of damage to Asnable, trying to stay alive. This is a pretty weak path, I would say, right now. Yeah. And this is a really strong path to run against it, in my opinion. I think this is really smart from LG. Maybe they're finally finding some answers up against this currently Magikarp.
Well, it will be tough to contend with, but Shizu, who does take the central area rotation first and foremost, which normally we don't see Zacian able to take that, but it does mean they get to level 5, which means they have access to their passive. They can enhance their moves. You saw that enhanced Metal Claw basically one-shotting that Mew. So an early success for Nemesis, and they're taking that all the way to the bank. Metallic already at level 5 on the fish.
I know, out-leveling everybody else. If they can find one more pick here, ooh, wow, just barely able to escape getting KO'd there. Great movement from Asnable. But if they can find one more KO or one more big score for the Magikarp, then I think it's going to be evolving. It's not as fast as it has been in previous games, but am I right now? Otter getting extremely low. License check button to get out of the way. Sunup will go down, and apparently Machizel's going to pick up a KO and then get KO'd in return for it. Doesn't look like all that credit went to the Magikarp because it's a little bit slow, a little bit far away. So it does look like Magikarp maybe a little bit slower this time around as we're hitting the 8-minute mark, not yet evolved.
Yeah, Luminosity Gaming have made the proper adaptations to try to contend with this Gyarados, I think. And 8 minutes is the breakpoint we normally say we like to see the Gyarados hit, but, you know, in games past, it has been a little bit more tragic for them. So, these wild Pokemon in the middle of the map are already gone. Luminosity Gaming with a very quick rotation. Curiosa's Miraidon has been doing very, very well. And I believe with that dash across that wall, we are looking at Electro Drift Miraidon.
That does make tons of sense to me. More so than I think we saw the opposite direction in the last game, but they won, so Electro Drift getting very popular, very nice KO, and Machizel's really starting to pop off this game.
Yeah, I mean, that early level 5 feels like it has been soaring for this Pokemon, able to take down so many targets. They did get KO themselves one time in sort of an unfortunate situation, but since then, Machizel's been able to kind of walk all over the enemy composition. This Sword Dog looking fearsome already.
Ooh, we see a KO managing to get picked up in the back. Metallic defending this goal zone. I was already 75 points in, but there weren't any extra in that moment. They had 75 before, and Regieleki spawning on the bottom. There's going to be a fight where Machizel's getting walled off by Slash, getting completely caught down in the bottom. Also united by the Mimikyu. Everybody targeting Machizel is going to go down. Oogway looks like they may be next as they're extremely low. Trainer going from Pokemon to Pokemon, getting those resets, and doesn't even need to get the final one. Huge win for Luminosity Gaming in that bottom goal zone, taking on the tier 1. Regieleki certainly going to them, and up top, Regieleki hasn't even been contested yet.
Yeah, Luminosity Gaming really feeling it. Obviously, that main threat of Zacian has been ever present, but everywhere else, Luminosity Gaming has kind of been succeeding, and this Mimikyu really showing up for the first time in a major way. KO streak at 3, Otter with a bit of poke damage, but Metallic has only one thing on the brain, and it rhymes with Regieleki. It's just Regieleki, and they did really well taking it.
What else rhymes with Regieleki?
Yeah, name one thing, chat, that rhymes with Regieleki. You can't.
Yeah. Chat, this is up to you now. While the defense is up to Luminosity Gaming, it does look like Nemesis wants to push in. Machizel diving into that backline. Asnable getting very low, not yet fully evolved, so they're not going to be at that full strength. They're going to get KO'd very quickly. The rest of Luminosity Gaming running in from the back. Dodrio, Overlord on the Dodrio, able to close out a few KOs, doing a ton of damage as their front line is kind of going to have to retreat. Electro Drift in the back, trying to close a Metallic. They're going to get a chance to. Overlord actually picks up that KO. though, as Machizel looks like the next one getting united by Mimikyu. They're still just running members in to try to defend this goal zone. Finally, it goes down, and they do get at least the counter KO on Mimikyu, but Nemesis not looking so great, just running in one at a time there.
Yeah, kind of exposed too. You even saw a really late Bliss assistance used while Nemesis was kind of calling for the retreat. You saw Machizel and Metallic were making their way back to the goal zone, and Bliss assistance was used to bail out, and so they didn't have it to kind of re-engage, and despite that, Metallic still jumps back in, but without that support from the Blissy, they just really didn't have any answers. So Nemesis was kind of a wash on that top side. Luminosity Gaming really holding on to their lead because of that.
They've got a long road ahead, as you said, and they're taking some pretty quick steps here, I would say. Kyrios just sitting there, ready to ambush, very scary. Does get some great vision, and yeah, you're going to be able to run away very quickly or just steal all of their experience or score even. That's big. They are going to get that 25 in, which is going to bring them up to an over 200-point lead. A great Icicle Fang, though, on Slash, who's going to immediately unite. There is going to be some backup here. Overlord coming down. Kyrios still just sitting here, waiting for a little bit of damage, and they're gonna have to back up as we're gonna see honestly a weirdly heavy retreat, I would say, from Luminosity Gaming. I thought they were the ones that were gonna go in, but Trainer does hit the Shadow Sneak and is gonna go in as Regice gets confirmed by Zashin. That's gonna mean no way to continue this fight, especially with the Mimikyu getting KO'd as well. The Volt Tackle is gonna stop a little bit more damage. Overlord trying to get out, does not manage to escape, and finally Nemesis is starting to find their footing in some of these fights. That's gonna continue though with the Mew unite on top of the goal zone. They might not be able to break this thing.
Yeah, geez, Nemesis doing everything they can to get some points on the board. It has been a very challenging task for them. This 50 points from Pikachu will land, not a gigantic overdunk, but with the way that this map has been playing out, you need every little bit of points that you can get, especially as we head into the final 3:30 left in this matchup. Only Pokemon with Unite moves available at the moment are Mimikyu and Belissi after a huge investment of both these teams. Otter going to recall in the enemy home base, but Machizel not going to let that one slide.
Just fed him a free Mew right there. And this Regieleki is going really uncontested. I think Nemesis would very much enjoy to be able to take that, push it in, tie up the score, and then they're going to be looking really, really good for the end game, as Nemesis is now actually ahead on levels, despite the fact that they were behind by so much for so long, and they're actually just going to ignore this Regieleki. That means I think that this is a pretty heavy commitment to just winning the final fight, which it does seem like they're doing a pretty good job of winning the actual combined team fights. However, it's not going to be easy. They're behind by a lot of big ambush as the Mimikyu is just going to get dunked. Trainer walking away with about half life, but now it's Kyrios who's in a little bit of a dangerous situation. Electro drifting out. You can always get a pretty good escape, and this is a weird time to fight. I think that we're starting to see Nemesis realize that. They're like, okay, I could chase you right now. I don't want to chase you, but hold on. Look at where the two members on the northeast side for Luminosity Gaming are.
Yeah, what a flank setup currently by Otter and Overlord. Otter is going to serve to try to get the safety. Metallic can't bounce over that wall. Just gets stuck on that corner. Does not have the chase on. That Slash is going to try to ambush them, block them up against the wall. That's a lot of buddy barriers. So Unite moves already utilized by Nemesis, but it's going to be the Miraidon striking first. Kyrios actually picks up two with the Bright Future Meteor Storm, and now it's going to be up to Metallic to try to bring this thing back around. Machizel from the top side, Metallic from the bottom. Mimikyu has grabbed the support player. Oogway has a chance to Bliss assistance though, and Metallic does get a bit of shields, but it does not matter. Luminosity Gaming cutting through them regardless. 2 KOs from the trainer so far. Now Machizel on the run. Mew boosted auto attack's going to deal a ton of damage. Machizel will live to fight another day, but they will be fighting from behind.
Will there even be another day is the question. Only really one member here, and that's Asdable. Needs to steal away the Rayquaza, not going to be able to do it. Confirmed by Kyrios on that Electro Drift Miraidon, and they've got all the shields in the world. Nobody's up on the side of Nemesis. A minute and 20 seconds left is quite a bit, but with all the Eos energy in pockets, this is going to be Hundo Burgers across the board, or at least somewhat close to, up by over 200 points now. This is looking pretty good for LG. However, there is still a minute left, and they're all responding soon.
Yeah, and this is one of those that is technically true situations, but no, I think this match is as good as over. Luminosity Gaming with an absolutely phenomenal team fight. Trainer playing out of their mind on this Mimikyu. It seems like I've said that 1,000 times on 1,000 different broadcasts. This Pokemon works so well when in their hands, and they are absolutely crushing it in this one. A few weird commitments, but that flank from Otter and Overlord pay off. Kind of takes Metallic out of that team fight, forces them into some weird situations. A lot of Unite moves have to be utilized by Nemesis to quickly respond. The entire time, Maridon is able just to free fire damage from the backline, uncontested and kind of unhindered, but doing all of that damage to the rest of Team Nemesis.
Now, I'm actually going to be a little bit of a negative Nancy here and say that I think that Mew flank could have been disastrous for them. If that jump, if the bounce had gone over the wall and Metallic had been able to land a fully charged bounce onto a Mew and then just get that early KO, I feel like that is an over team fight already for the side of, Nemesis's favor. But that didn't happen, so we don't really even need to talk about it. However, just one thing to look at, it could have been very, very scary. But I'm glad that we're not going to get a quick 2-0 in grand finals, as a very dominant game from Luminosity Gaming is going to take us to a game 3.
Mimikyu, Trainer, 12 KOs on this Pokemon in particular. Overlord with 7 knockouts as well on this Dodrio. Not an easy task to play.
Over, and the bans immediately with the Blaziken ban. Interesting.
Yeah, and Nemesis choosing first pick as well and going to lead in with the Blaziken ban. I think this means that we're most likely going to see a Zacian first pick out of Nemesis in this situation. However, I'm not too sure about that. We have the Slowbro Psyduck bans from Luminosity Gaming on the other side. Of course, though, that Mimikyu ban always targeted towards Trainer.
It was really hard to figure out the first pick. I mean, Rhydon's still available, Zacian's still available, Umbreon has been banned constantly. There's so many different options. Of course, Trainer being able to pick up this Leafeon early is specifically for Luminosity a huge pick. So they are going to be able to pick up the Rhydon as well. Feel like LG's got to be pretty happy being in kind of the second position here. I think they'd rather take those two over the Umbreon, but who knows, as we're going to follow it up with a Garchomp, which has been banned a lot this weekend, and the Blissey 2 back that up.
Exactly. They got that Blissey Garchomp duo that we've seen work out so well for them. I know that Uga was on that Blissey in game number 2, but it's not quite the same when it's not paired with that Garchomp pick. Luminosity Gaming are going to pick up the Comfey, so Trainer LGC will have a little bit of support riding along with them for the entirety of the match. We're going to have to see what Overlord picks. With a Comfey, we often do see some kind of double speedster style of game plan, but it doesn't have to be necessarily. It's going to be whatever Overlord wants to contend with Machizel's Garchomp into the top path. That's going to be the real question.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Comfey was going to end up on Overlord. It just feels like maybe I haven't seen them as much putting it on a Leafeon. But again, who knows? We're seeing a lot of Azumarill highlights, which I do not believe will be the answer. The Serena finally! It took us until maybe the final game of the tournament to see the Serena finally show up in North America.
Yeah, and I have a small correction to make on myself for my analysis around Zarina at the beginning of our broadcast so many hours ago. I was mentioning that Zarina had kind of a hit or miss performance in EU. They actually had a 0 hit performance. Zarina with a 0% win rate on broadcast, at the very least, in the European tournament earlier this morning. So, Overlord going to try to make an NA spin on it, a little bit different with this Zarina. A pick of Comfey with this Pokemon is exceptional, but it does break my heart a little bit to see Overlord Zarina not paired with that iconic Blissey. I think back to the very first World Championships of our game ever, and when Overlord won it, it really felt like that Blissey Zarina combination was the secret sauce. So, a new look for year 4 in the Unite Championship Series, I suppose.
It's a flat circle, you go all the way around.
Right.
It's just slightly different every time you make a rotation. True. It's like, this is familiar, just one thing different. I will say, though, that I'm really excited to see the Comfey with the Serena after the Serena buffs, where Serena's going to be a lot better at kind of self-sustaining a little bit, or at least being a little bit tankier. So it could be very hard to take down that Serena. True. On the other side, though, Nemesis's draft, which I don't think we talked about as much in full, it looks like a real big mix of a lot of their strongest Pokemon, and I think it's just a great, solid comp that they're probably very confident with going into this final game.
Yeah, the only concern I have is that the Pikachu is returning, and I wasn't a huge fan of it in that game number 2, but of course we can see things shift for this game number 3. Poor Kubfu from Metallic is going to be wielding that Pokemon, by the way. Machizel going to be hanging out in the top path with the Garchomp. So again, another role swap between these two players. Just with how the draft goes, it feels like Nemesis very comfortable rotating their players to different roles.
And this is what we saw before from LG, where we're going to see Trainer take that first set of center area experience. Oh my goodness. They stayed to try to finish that, and Chisel almost got KO'd by the Comfey in the tall grass. But then we're going to see a rotation down where Trainer kind of stays up top for a while and does have that Comfey on them, which is going to be a terrifying path to deal with, while currently the Serena is sitting in that center area, getting as much experience as possible.
Exactly. They are getting buffed up. They are evolved into the Steenie. Now, Trainer does have the Leafeon with the red buff, and the Comfey, not to mention. So they are going in 2v3 in this situation. Maybe not advantageous, but it's just Chansey and Gibble on the other side, so they have a chance to bring this in their favor, but they will not have that opportunity as Metallic cleans up most of those KOs.
It's going to be really good for them. And also, man, note the first time that we've not seen Metallic up against LG with Gyarados. I said that a weird way, but they're going to be obviously not the Gyarados this time around. Trainer not able to really get all that much going. Obviously going to be very hard to take down, especially early on before we see some evolutions, but they haven't been able to find any big picks. They haven't been able to farm all that much. So things looking pretty decent for Nemesis up there. So down here, it's looking a little bit more difficult. Overlord just kind of running all over the competition. This is a tough two to be able to fully attack against, to be able to score against, though, and they're very hard to take down. So it's looking pretty good, I think, for Nemesis as well down here.
Yeah, it feels like we're just kind of trading all over the place, even Stevens, where these teams are fighting. Metallic does get one nice Wicked Blow in, but unfortunately, it does not land on the Leafeon. Your intended target means that Trainer's got a little bit of space to get a chase. Doesn't have enough space to get a KO, but certainly making Metallic think twice about re-engaging in the next fight there.
Well, we are going to see pretty split, I would say a pretty peaceful game as far as things go. There have been a few KOs, but altogether the scoring is pretty low. The farming has been prioritized over trying to fight. Not that many goal zones being broken down, and we're going to be just chilling, I think, for a while before this first objective. We are pre-positioning, and it looks like LG is going to be the ones pushing in, immediately taking out two members of Nemesis, both Pikachu and Umbreon down. I said this was a more peaceful game. They immediately proved me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, Luminosity Gaming have chosen no direction of peace. I mean, the opposite of pacifism for this squad. Trainer going to be threatening a 40-point dunk. Otter having 26 means that they would break the goal zone a little bit earlier. So Trainer going to take that 40 points in and immediately focus on the Registeel. They're going to be the only player doing so because Luminosity Gaming wants to have the best chances at the other objective on the map right now, as Regieleki has spawned in a full 4-player rotation up towards the top side.
Oh, a big heavy slam to initiate from the side of Luminosity Gaming, kind of splitting up some of the members as Asnable getting pushed down to the south side, and we're going to see Machisel get KO'd. So this is going to be another goal zone down. Not a very big overdunk, a very minuscule overdunk this time around, but when you're leading by almost 200 points, I don't think you care all that much. Luminosity going from pretty much tied to taking a gigantic lead, both in points and in levels. Everything suddenly going their way.
Yeah. Wow, and Overlord making this arena look good all at the same time, too. You know, a Pokemon that did get buffed quite a bit in this next step patch that we are playing on, but notably, I feel like Triple Axel, the move that definitely received more love. This is a drop kick stomp build of this arena, and Overlord saying the changes don't need them. I'll take down anybody in my way, as they are stomping down multiple targets. Slashcan paving the way for the rest of their damage squad with that block to earn a little bit of space. Heavy slam over the wall, Flowery Fields forever, and Luminosity Gaming gets away from the crime scene.
Slowly walking away. Hold on a minute. Oh, they didn't stop it. Oh, no. A great escape there from Slash. Over 200 points of a lead. You can see the levels are relatively even, except for Trainer, who is level 12. It was 2 levels above anybody else in the game for a while, and you can immediately see just gathering even more KOs, a double. Relic saying, I don't want any piece of this. You're way too high level for me. Please leave me alone. Slash trying to one more attempt at that heavy slam, but boy, Nemesis has to catch up, and from behind, I mean, obviously we're only halfway through this game. There's still plenty of time to catch up, but we do have to look at the fact that once again, they've got a really amazing rip and flip comp.
Oh, that is true. They do build a lot for these things with their Urshifu and Garchomp. Feels like a match made in heaven in here in particular, but one adjustment Nemesis has made as well is this Pikachu has leaned into the more Mage Pikachu build. It's a Thunder Shock Pikachu, but Overlord does get the Unite move at the edge of that mean look range. They pull up Asable just for a moment. Asable able that Unite move and get a little bit of space, though, as Maridon trying to strafe and do some damage, but Garchomp, the one to take him out. Kyrios taken out of this fight as Machisel gets 2, make it 3. Machisel on a KO streak of 3 with the support of that Blissey the entire way. Safeguard, helping hand, Garchomp tearing through your squad.
That was exactly what they needed, and they're going to continue to try to take even more. I mean, that's really what they need next. Now that they start to catch up in level just from that fight alone, they need points. They need to get past this 200-point threshold. Trainer, though, immediately going in with the Emerald 2-step, getting a KO on their Shifu, and they are all going to jump in as the bull getting extremely low, getting KO'd by the giant group. We're trying to run away. Machisel can get over this wall just barely in time to escape the wrath of Overlord. So not as many KOs as it maybe as it could have been, but an amazing ambush after a lost fight to try to steal back this lead of levels. Obviously, they got the point lead, and this is just beautiful LG play.
And this is the difference when playing against high-level teams and not, folks. In this position, normally you're calling for your team, hey, play it safe, get farm, it'll be fine. But nowhere is safe against a team like Luminosity Gaming. Your enemy central area easily a spot that they can try to contest. Machisel with a nice push, but Overlord is going to walk away from that fight. Otter with some amazing support on the Comfey means that this arena does not get KO'd. We do have Relics finding their way to the backline, so a bit of an electrical duel on top of the goal zone, but it looks like Maridon and Pikachu, neither one have found the fall. They have a bit of a stalemate on that side. Otherwise, though, Machisel has finally found a way to KO this Comfey's arena duo. All that might be for naught, though, Wonderchef, as Nemesis is going to have to take this Regieleki to keep up with score, as Luminosity Gaming has broke that tier 2 on the bottom side.
I mean, aside from the horrendous score lead, those were huge KOs. Look at this. Highest levels in the game are now tied between Garchomp and Leafeon. And, I mean, Machisel Garchomp being tied for highest level in the game, potentially getting to 15 within that final fight is huge. That's exactly what they needed on top of this Regieleki, trying to get as many points as possible. The slow one-at-a-time score. I'm assuming there was some stacks maybe earlier in the game, and they were just taking one at a time. That's huge, though. They got like 4 or 5 in at the exact moment as we're going to now see LG go down for the space for Redden.
I think it was Ao's Cookie as well, so that Umbreon going to be a lot beefier for this final fight. My favorite thing in the world, I think, is watching top teams not get a Regieleki and then stand in front of a goal zone for a solid 2 to 3 seconds to figure out the math about who should be scoring when. I really like it. Hey, great patience and great teamwork. Rayquaza entering the map. All Nemesis have to do to win this tournament is knock out this objective and bring it all the way to the goal zone. Luminosity Gaming want to reset this bracket, and Rayquaza a great way to do just that.
Last Rayquaza guaranteed of this pre-reset bracket at least. We'll see if we go past that. Slash, though, getting jumped on, using the wall to live a little bit longer as we're going to see the Electro Drift going in. We're uniting on the Snorlax to live a little bit longer. Urshifu goes down. They really need that for the Rip and Flip. A lot of members of Luminosity starting to get low. However, they're being chased down by Machisel. They're going to be able to KO Trainer. That's gigantic. We are going to back up a little bit. Overlord still being very hard to take down and trying to 1v2 here, though. Machisel getting a huge amount of damage to Overlord. They're going to have to run away, and the chance to potentially rip is certainly here. Slash starting to get a little bit low as we're going to see Machisel go in. Kyrios just spacing out as much as possible. This Rayquaza is starting to get low.
Yeah, Machisel could finally hit this Rayquaza because Urshifu has returned. We got Metallic within range. Wicked Blow's going to land, and they take the Rayquaza. Nemesis with a perfect execution of the team fight you were calling out, Wonder Chef. Garchomp, Urshifu, absolute dynamic duo, and they're going to put it together. These scores need to rein in, though. Luminosity Gaming had an incredible point lead headed into that final fight. 44 seconds remain. Nemesis got to put some numbers on the board, and they got the lead.
Got to lead by a huge amount, 152-point lead, 35 seconds left. Everybody's on the east side of the map. LG hunting down for Oogway. This Blissey is not surviving very long, but do they have enough time to even make it to the other side of the map? It's looking unlikely. Machisel, just for extra damage, gets another 76 points in, and I think, Zoinks, that this is looking like it's over for LG and Nemesis with a surprise, not only top 8, but a victory for our December Cup.
Yeah, from out at top 16 in the qualifiers of AO's Cup play-ins to the December Cup champions. What a glow up for Team Nemesis with some really interesting drafts. And I mean, in this game number 3, it felt like they got absolutely everything they could have ever wanted. Well done from this team. 530 to 302, knocking out Luminosity Gaming.
And may I note, playing from behind the entire time by a significant amount. They were down by 300 points, I believe, at one point in this game. They were behind by multiple levels, like two plus levels, and they caught back up. I gotta say, a lot of it, Machisel Garchomp popped off. I mean, at one point, obviously, I mean, Uguay was there healing a little bit, but it was like, there were several points, in fact, that it was Machisel 1v2ing Overlord and Otter together and winning. That is why we saw so many bans on that Garchomp, and the one time they didn't ban it, LG was banning it in Winners Finals. They should have maybe